We're going to talk about heartbreaking losses for our Philly sports teams over the last half century. Phil, you've not been around quite as long as Bill or me, but you've seen a bunch of heartbreaking defeats as well. What are the ones that stand out for you in your lifetime?
So I'm going to give you 2 games, and I'm going to give you really quick 2 other moments here. So Joe Carter, obviously, I was 13 years old. My dad was a very sick man through most of my life. He passed away when I was pretty young. That was his last chance to celebrate a championship with his boys. And that when Joe Carter hit that home run, we had just come off a very bad summer of family stuff and all. So that one to me has always been the big. I cried when the Phillies won the World Series in 2008 because of him. You know what I mean? So that one's number 1 to me. Number 2 is the Phillies' loss in 2011 to the Cardinals because of that image of Ryan Howard going down in a heap. You know, he tore his Achilles. He was never the same. While Ruben Amaro tried to run it back for another couple of years. The team, that image of Ryan Howard is the symbol of the end of that era to me. So that one's really a sad one. And I'm going to give you 2 non-games real quick. Randall Cunningham getting hit by Bryce Pop. Mm-hmm. That's one of the saddest moments of my childhood because I complained about the Kelly Green era, but that was supposed to be their year, and that really kills me, that one. And the Sixers, to bring the Sixers back one more time, choosing Brett Brown over Jimmy Butler. That's all I'll say about that right there.
What we're going to talk about is your biggest / most crushing loss that you've experienced as a fan. Doesn't have to be Philly related, although most likely it will be. Viewers, make your comments, give it some thought. Hopefully you've been thinking about it. Put them in the comments section. We'll flash them up here. Chet, you and I went through, as I said, you told me last night, I guess it was, that you had 13 or 14 on your list.
Yeah.
I went through and I ended up with 13 or 14 on my list. I whittled it down to 10. It was kind of fun. A lot of memories, not all good ones by any means.
Yeah, not at all.
You know, and as Phil said, that Joe Carter home run is usually on most people's list. It's on my list, but it's not near the top. There's a whole lot more painful ones than that to me. So, who's on number 1 on yours? Let's work your list down.
I'm not starting at number 1. I'm going to tell you some of the lower ones first.
Right.
First of all, I eliminated the Fog Bowl, which was disappointing because, you know, the Eagles made the postseason under Buddy Ryan, never won a playoff game under him, but that was their big chance. And then the fog rolls in by halftime in Chicago. Couldn't see what was going on, even though Randall threw for 400 yards. We didn't get to see much of it because of the fog. Right. Eagles lost the game, and there you went. There it went. That was on New Year's Eve, by the way, at the end of the 88 or 89 season. Yep. We had a lot of Sixers postseason losses. We had the Flyers 2010 Cup loss, which ended with that Patrick Kane goal in the final game. The Phillies 2022 World Series loss didn't even make my top 10 because I just thought Houston was the better team, so I didn't even put that one in my top 10. Some of the ones in the bottom half of my top 10, Bill, the Flyers losing the 1980 Cup Finals to the Islanders, 4-2. Damn you, Leon Stickle.
Leon Stickle.
Is that one on your list?
No, but because I couldn't remember. I remembered Leon Stickle, and I remembered the Islanders, but I couldn't remember the year. I couldn't. Yeah.
I remember I was down the shore. I was down Wildwood for some reason. And before going out to do whatever I was going to do on that particular day, I got to watch the end of that game and left very disappointed. The Flyers losing game 6 in overtime after that call earlier in the game. Leon Stickle missing offsides. Also on my list, lower half of the top 10 or bottom 10, after a record 102 win season, the Phillies dropping the 2011 NLDS series to the Cards. Ryan Howard getting hurt on the last play. Phil mentioned that one. I had the Eagles coming up short in Super Bowl 57 versus the Chiefs. That late James Bradbury holding call, of course, really did them in. The Flyers losing game 7 of the 2000 East Finals to the Islanders. Scott Stevens ending the career as a Flyer, anyway, of Eric Lindros. That one hurt. Not me, but Eric hurt me too. And then the Phillies dropping the final 2 games of the 2023 NLCS to the Diamondbacks at home and losing the series 4-3. None of those even in my top 5, Bill.
Well, let me let me start at the end. I did mine a little bit different, but I had a couple honorable mentions I'll throw out. And
Okay,
I
sure.
actually, being a big Penn State guy, I have a couple Penn State games in here as well. So my my honorable mention list was 2005 Michigan 25 Michigan 27 Penn State 25. Penn State scored with 53 seconds in the game to take the lead, only to give up a walk-off touchdown to lose that game in 2025. I had the 2009. Well, I kind of lumped these two together. The 2009 NFC Championship game, Cardinals-Eagles in Glendale. Cardinals beat the Eagles. The Eagles were a better team than them. And then in the 2002 NFC Championship, where the Rams beat the Eagles 29-24. That was my honorable mention. I didn't like that one either. And then I also had the 2010 Stanley Cup Finals of the Blackhawks, losing that game to Patrick Kane in overtime. So they were my honorable mentions. All right. So now I'll go with number 10 because I actually did number 1 through 10.
There you
this
go.
was hard. This was hard. You're going to probably find this one hard to believe, Chet. 2000. Yeah. This is my number 10. 2018-19 Sixers lost to the Raptors in Game 7 when they couldn't stop Kawhi Leonard. He averaged like 37 points or some ridiculous number.
That was number 4 on my list, Bill. That one really hurt. The quadruple bounce bucket to win that Game 7 and put the Sixers out in the second round, which they still have not gotten past.
Right. Okay. So then my number 9 is the Joe Carter game.
Wow, that low.
Yeah, there's a lot of punishment in here between 1 and 9.
I'm sure.
Let me see. Number 8 is the NLCS lost to Arizona that you just mentioned.
Yep.
I had that one at number 8. Number 7, the 2003 NFC Championship game against the Carolina Panthers, 14-3 at the Link. I was there. That's why it's higher than everything else, because they laid a big old egg in that game, and they should have won that game.
I meant to put that one on my list, and I totally forgot. So that should be on my list somewhere, but it is not.
Okay. My number 6 is, you mentioned it, the 2011 NLCS Phillies Cardinals. Howard torn Achilles on the last out of the game was devastating. So I'm down to my top 5.
All right. I'm going to give you my number 5. The Sixers losing the 2023 NBA East semifinals to the Celtics after coughing up a 3-2 series lead. They lost Game 6 at home, and you just knew they were not going to win Game 7. I know that for a lot of people, who have like soured on the Sixers, they don't even care anymore. But that one hurt me 2 years ago because I thought that was their best chance to really go far, and then they blow Game 6 and got blown out in Game 7 against the Celtics. Number 4, as I mentioned, the Kawhi Leonard Raptors-Sixers game that ended their 2019 season. Number 3 for me was Joe Carter's walk-off home run, which, of course, won the World Series for the Blue Jays in 93 and left all of us Phillies fans really disheartened and upset. And then I have 2 left. I'm going to save those till we hear a few more from you.
All right. So my number 5, this one, there's a long story to this. November 6, 1999, Penn State, Minnesota. Penn State 9-0, Minnesota 6-3. Penn State's ranked number 2. They lose the game on a miracle play that led to a walk-off field goal. They lose 24-23. They were 9-0. They ended up losing again the next week and again the next week. Then they finally won the bowl game. That was the end of Jerry Sandusky as a Penn State coach. But they ended up going 26-33 over the next 5 years. It was the worst era of Joe Paterno football, and it all started on that walk-off kick against Minnesota when they thought they were going to play for the national championship. And so that one was a rough one. Number 4, you probably don't have this one on your list, Chet. 1976-77 76ers losing to Bill Walton and the Portland Trailblazers 4-2. They were up 2-0, got swept out after that. And I went to all the home games in that series.
Let me interrupt you, Bill. Let me interrupt you. That was number 2 on my list.
Oh,
Sixers
was it?
blow 2-0 series lead in 1977 NBA Finals. Yeah, they won the first 2 games. then lost the next 4, and then they owed us 1, and then they owed us 2.
Right. And that
didn't
was
get one till
Dr. J
83.
and George McGinnis. It was Dr. J's first year.
Yeah, Dr.
I
J's
believe.
first year as a Sixer. Yeah.
Doug Collins was there. They
Darryl
had a
Dawkins.
good team. Darryl Dawkins. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3. Where to go? I don't know about this one, Chet. 1987 Stanley Cup Finals. Edmonton won game 7, 3-1. The Flyers were down 3-1, came back to 3-3, and that game 6 was the J.J. Daniel goal that they said the goal that rocked the spectrum, shook the spectrum. Goal that shook the spectrum. But then they went back out to Edmonton for game 7, didn't have enough juice, and they lost that. I thought they were going to win that Stanley Cup.
I actually forgot about that. I thought about the 1985 series when they lost to Edmonton. They played them tough, but still lost in 5 games. Now I forgot about 87. Yeah.
2 years later, they played them again.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So you already gave your number 2. So I'll just go ahead and give my number 2. Well, we probably know about this one. January 19th, 2003, the last Eagles game at the Vet, the NFC Championship, Tampa Bay 23, Eagles 10. No one gave Tampa Bay a chance in that game. And
Rondé Barber, where are you?
They beat the P out of the Eagles.
It is number 1 on my list, Bill. Number 1, as I say, Eagles fall flat in 2002 NFC Championship game against Bucks. Final game at Vet Stadium. Yeah. Frickin' Rondé Barber with the long touchdown interception return. And the Tampa Bay can't win in under 35 degrees. Are you kidding me? And what the worst thing was I had to watch that game with my brother-in-law, who is a Tampa Bay Bucks fan.
Yeah. Well,
I was not happy.
And Joe Juravicius from Penn State was one of the big thorns in the Eagles' side that day as well. All right. My number 1. Bill? My number 1, I'm surprised you didn't get this one, Chet. This isn't on your list. 1978, Phillies, Dodgers, NLCS Game 4. Gary Maddox dropped the fly ball, followed by the putting runners on first and second. Would have been
that was one of my dishonorable mentions, Black Friday. Was it 77 or 78? I don't remember.
78. And then the next batter after he dropped the fly ball, hit a single to center to him. He ran in to make the play. Ball bounced over his glove. Season over. Devastating.
Yeah, that was really depressing at the time. But since it's been 48 years, I've kind of pushed that one, further away. But
every time I think of Gary Maddox, I think of it. And then the funny thing about that to me, Chet, the Gary Maddox thing is, he made that error in 78, but then in 80, he made the last out catch, I believe, in the Astros series, and he's all in the paper holding the ball. They're carrying him off the field. I'm like,
yeah.
Do that 2 years ago when we're playing for a couple World Series.
Agrees with us on some of these. Bob forgot about that one. Denny says, that Tampa game, the final one at the Vet. Ouch. And then, you know what? They opened up the following season at the new stadium, and they lost again to Tampa in the season.
They lost to Tampa in the opener. Absolutely. I was going to bring that up. It's not on my list, but I was going to bring that up. They opened the link with Tampa and lost that game too. So,
well, there you go. Some good memories, not really. Some bad memories, but fun to talk about nonetheless.
It's funny that neither one of us had the first Super Bowl, the second Super Bowl loss, the one to Brady in New England. That wasn't on either one of our lists. And I thought about that game. I thought, we came back and won. Maybe that's why that one didn't make the list.
Yeah, I actually started with about 20 to consider, and that one was being considered, and then I just kind of forgot about it. So,
well, the 80-81 Super Bowl too, that they lost to the Raiders when we thought they had beat them in the regular season, and then went to the Super Bowl and laid an egg in that game too. So,
boy, we've had a lot of disappointment over the last 50 years.
Yeah, as I say, it ain't easy being a Philly sports fan, that's for sure.